This is the Flex Network. Flex on everybody.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Flex Network. I'm your host, Flex Shane. You can follow me on Twitter at the Flex Network 1. Today, I'm joined, of course, by Brandon Adam. You can follow him on Twitter at Brandon D. Adam 19. Brandon, what the hell is going on, brother?
Doing good, bro. Just ready to pound out these next few couple rounds and these deep sleepers and hash these out, because this is kind of the part of the draft where you get to kind of live more dangerously. You can kind of just get guys that you kind of want and you kind of want to take shots on. And this is the part of the draft where sometimes you get a home run on Elijah Mitchell, sometimes somebody like that, and you never know. So this is cool. This is the fun part.
Yeah, dude, this is the fun part of the draft. So for those who didn't join us last week, what we did was we did two round, or the first 2 rounds, I should say, mock draft, Dynasty, of course. It was myself, you, and Mike were on the show. Mike obviously is not with us today. Whenever I say that, it sounds bad. Mike is doing family obligations today. I guess it's his daughter's birthday, so he's getting the backyard all set up. And dude, when you were a kid, was there anything greater than having like a bouncy castle or going to one of those bouncy castle houses? Like those were fantastic, dude.
Absolutely. That I was just the maniac, just doing flips all over the place in that thing, just jumping off the walls. Yeah, I was definitely a maniac and had a lot of fun in those things as a kid, for sure. Even nowadays, because I did lose my legs. And so like whenever I go to these parties, I jump in there because I'm small. So it's fun. Like I could hang out with the kids in there and have a good time. So it's a pretty good time.
That's fantastic. What's going on, Clipboard Jesus? Yeah, the Clown Prince, he's not with us today. His daughter's birthday. She's having a birthday party today. So he's away. He's doing real life responsibilities, which I respect that. I respect you more, Brendan, for being here, for following through on your commitments. But that's fine. Okay. We'll allow it once in a while. I'm just kidding.
Go ahead.
I don't know if I'm sure you do, but so Alan Zazowski, of course, over at RotoWire now, he had a gentleman, Nathan McNamara from the Football Guys, on his show this week. And for those of you who don't know Nathan or don't go listen to that RotoWire show, go check it out. I'd never heard Nathan before, but after I listened to him on the show, I went and I listened to one of his podcasts, and I gotta say, man, I was pretty impressed. So Football Guys, you probably all know Sigmund Bloom, right?
Of course.
Sig. Now, this is, I guess, another show as part of their network. And something really interesting that he said is that a lot of fantasy gamers will draft for opportunity early, and then later on in your rookie drafts, they'll draft for talent. And he suggested it should be backwards, right? So early on, rounds 1 and 2, that's where you want to draft for talent. I mean, look no further than DK Metcalf, AJ Brown. If you faded those guys because of the opportunity, you were sad about it, right? The same thing this year. I mean, like Jahan Dotson, you're drafting that guy for talent. Somebody might have a better situation, like John Mechie, even, for example, but you're going to go Jahan Dotson over that, right? You can argue George Pickens, same thing. So needless to say, I think, Brandon, you and I have always been, we're drafting the player, right? We've made that mistake in the past. We don't do that anymore. We learn from our mistakes. We drafted the player because things change quick in the NFL. Look no further than this offseason. Things change quick, okay? However, we are in what I like to call the fun rounds 3, 4, 5. This is the one where you swing for the fences. If you have a player that you like that got crappy draft capital, but also might be in a good situation, this is the time you actually absolutely going to do that, okay? So with that, Brandon, are you ready? Actually, hold on a second. Let's give the people
just recap the second round, and we'll start off.
Okay, so the round 1 was pretty chalky. Round 2, it went James Cook, David Bell, Malik Willis, all fantastic picks. You went David Bell too. I love it. I said this on the show last week. The only thing that I don't like about David Bell so far in Dynasty rookie drafts is the fact that I have 0 shares of him.
Right.
So
that's why I took him, because I knew Mike was going to scoop him up, but I didn't think I was going to be able to get him back, because I've only gotten 1 share of David Bell. And that's because he dropped in a real home league. Like nobody had a clue who this kid was. And it was just funny, like just watching him drop further and further and further. I'm like, what in the world? But when you draft with sharper people, he goes way higher than normal. So it's interesting.
He was still a round 3 pick, which is day 2. I mean,
Exactly.
The problem
He's
is it's a crappy
perfect.
combine, right? People watch the combine, and then guys like Tyquan Thornton get around and do draft capital. I want to kill myself as a Patriots fan, but we move on.
Yeah.
After that, it went Desmond Ritter, Rashad White, John Mechie, then Trey McBride, Zamir White, TDP, Tyrion Davis Price, and then it went Wandell Robinson, Jalen Tolbert. So today we're going to be doing rounds 3 to start with. We'll take turns. You'll start us off, Brandon. But some of the players that I'm looking at that did not go, that typically you see going in round 2, Alec Pierce hasn't gone, Isaiah Spiller hasn't gone, Brian Robinson, to name a few. And then the aforementioned Tyquan Thornton, he's still sitting there around, I have him ranked right around that 3-4 turn, but, spoiler alert, full disclosure, like I was on the clock at like pick 4.3 and I took Khalil Shakir over him. So
of course you will.
There you go. Guys like Pierre Strong that we were talking about this morning, Jerome Ford, Tyler Algier, Hassan Haskins. There's a ton of high upside, lottery ticket type running backs here that we're going to go. So with that, Brandon, let's see our round 3, 4, 5 rookie mock draft. All right, brother. You were officially on the clock at pick 3.1, 25 overall. What you got?
So it's in between 2 players for me, but I'm going to go with draft cap and just straight talent. I'm going Alec Pierce at 3-1, and I think he is going to have a very nice opportunity in Indianapolis. I think with Matt Ryan, the addition of Matt Ryan, that offense is just going to open right up, and they're going to be able to deal out the ball to all sorts of different targets. And I think Alec Pierce was drafted for a purpose. He's been dominating camps. He went out with dehydration, which seems like the new normal for rookies this time. Burks did the same thing with dehydration and allergies. It's just sometimes these kids just coming out of not playing football, they've been just doing meetings and flying. They aren't ready to play football right away for their bodies. But he is a monster. I'm all in on that 6'3" monster, and maybe he can turn into somebody like a Jordy Nelson for the Colts.
That'd be pretty good. I mean, look, Michael Pittman is, I think he's tragically underrated for how good Michael Pittman actually is, because he was on the Colts, because he was playing with Carson Wentz as a quarterback. But Matt Ryan's good, and we know that he can support multiple wide receivers. So Alec Pierce going there. I mean, Paris Campbell is apparently 100% healthy, but I mean, what's that going to last? 2 games? So Alec Pierce is there.
I'm out. Yeah.
Well, see, this is what's kind of interesting. Okay, so what role do you think Alec Pierce is going to play? Because if Michael Pittman's going to play the axe, do you think that Alec Pierce would play like the big slot? Or like, what do you foresee?
He will be big slot. I think they're going to rotate him all over the place. To be honest, I think he can do be the big slot. I think he can play outside as well. And I think he's going to be singled up because everybody's going to be focused on Michael Pittman quite a bit, and also stopping the run with JT. So he's going to have a lot of single coverage at the Z and Y position as well. So I think he is a movable piece. I think he's going to do quite well. And I think in the red zone, he is going to be targeted more often than you think because of that single coverage.
Yeah, he only had 8 touchdowns last year playing for Cincinnati, but he did have a 21.25% target share. He was clearly Desmond Ritter's favorite guy. And I mean, look, the draft capital speaks for itself. Personally, again, Shane Sealy wouldn't have drafted Alec Pierce in round 2, but hey, man, the NFL is probably a little smarter than I am. So love that. Excuse me, love that pick. I feel like we need to get a little bit crazy right now, because at this point in the draft, this is where I like to go upside running back. And excuse me, for me, it's really between 2 players at the top here. Isaiah Spiller going to Los Angeles Chargers. Austin Eckler himself said that they needed the guy to spell him, right? Problem is, Isaiah Spiller, I don't love he didn't have a good combine, and we do know that athleticism is a major contributor to success for running backs, okay? So I'm gonna put your earmuffs on, Brandon. I'm gonna go a little bit more crazy. I'm gonna choose Brian Robinson, who was drafted by the Washington Commanders. Yeah.
Wow.
And I know. Here's the thing, okay? The reason I'm choosing Brian Robinson is because we know that the Commanders hate using Antonio Gibson for whatever reason. He's got the uber athleticism, but I mean, you don't go and you don't draft Brian Robinson around 3 unless you have a plan to use him. Now,
Of
obviously, we
course.
know J.D. McKissick has been well documented on the show. Went back to the Commanders last minute. He pulled from the Buffalo Bills. We talked about that in depth, Brendan. And look, the problem is that he actually did test pretty decent at the combine. And so,
Yeah.
based on that, based on the fact he's from Alabama, he's got a bit of a pedigree. I'm just going upside here. Brian Robinson, who you got, brother? It's on to you.
That's okay. That's okay with me. I'll take Tyler Algier right here at 3-3.
Okay.
And this is the guy that has the best opportunity to actually do something for these back end RBs. There is nobody else besides Damian Williams in the backfield with Cordell Patterson. Like I've been saying all offseason, I think Cordell Patterson is going to start moving away. He's older, man, and he was starting to break down playing that RB role so heavily. So I think they're going to bring in a Tyler Algier to be that 3-down back that can be the starter. And like I've been saying, he is James Conner, man. This guy is James Conner. He had 270 something attempts for 1,600 yards his last year, 23 touchdowns. He had here, I got him right here. He had 199 receiving yards on 28 catches and 39 targets. He's still 22 years old. He only played the position 1 year, really, like two complete years, and he did quite well. I still think he's learning as he goes. He was a linebacker, and I think the athleticism is there. He's more athletic than Isaiah Spiller by far, according to the metrics. That's why Isaiah Spiller isn't the guy right here. I think Tyler Algier has a higher upside and the better opportunity to succeed early.
Yeah, so last year, playing for BYU, he had 1,601 rush yards, which was third in the NCAA. And he was tied for first with 23 touchdowns. Like, 23 touchdowns. I don't care if he's playing for BYU. Like, that's an impressive feat. And the fact that really, I mean, that you look at that depth chart, you said it, like, he doesn't really have to beat out anybody. And they've even talked about it already. Cordell Patterson could be playing more as a wide receiver because, frankly, they don't have any wide receivers, right? So I think that's a fantastic pick. I really like that pick, which makes you think at this point, I mean, okay, so I like to, peel back the onion. So it's Isaiah Spiller here, Pierre Strong, who we all believe the Patriots drafted to really be that Kevin Falk, James White type utility knife because he's so uber athletic. A guy that Mike and we all agree on of saying that we're too low on. We're like, wait a minute, Mike, we have like a ton of shares of this guy, but Jerome Ford out of Cincinnati playing for the Cleveland Browns, he could have starting opportunities as early as next year. Now, here's the risk. Here's the risk with Jerome Ford, okay? Actually, honestly, any of these running backs, whether it be Isaiah Spiller, Jerome Ford, Pierre Strong, Tyler Algier, based on the draft capital, these guys are, for the most part, round 4 and 5 running backs. Yeah, they could easily be replaced next year. If they don't show something this year, then they could easily be replaced, okay? So then you say, well, okay, what is the possibility that they can show something this year? It's got to be because of an injury, right? Well, look, Kareem Hunt, they could easily cut him this year. It's very possible.
Could.
Plus,
100%, dude.
Yeah. Plus these guys like to get injured, right? We know Kareem Hunt likes to get injured. And Nick Chubb is a stud, but he does also get injured. So, man, I think I got to go Jerome Ford here. Cincinnati, playing for Cleveland Browns. And giddy up with Jerome Ford. What do you think about Jerome? Jerome.
I just said it on Twitter. I was talking to a follower of ours, and he pointed out that Jerome Ford was with the Browns, and I pointed out the fact that Kareem Hunt could be cut and traded right now to save $6 million in their cap right now if there's somebody out there that they want to go get. And they're deep. They have Dearness Johnson as well, and Nick Chubb, and now Jerome Ford. Jerome Ford was a damn good player in Cincinnati, and we thought he would go higher in the draft, to be honest. But he was a steal where they got him, and that's a damn good RB room. And like I said, if Hunt for some reason either goes down or gets traded because they realize that Ford is good enough in training camp and they don't have to pay Hunt, they can let him go. And I can totally see that happening. And I think Ford would immediately step in to be the backup to Chubb. right away if Hunt was ever traded or cut or injured.
Yeah, and so here's the thing, like, so he was at the Senior Bowl, but he left early, I think, for the birth of his child. So we'll give him a pass on that one. In college, he had a 30.3% college dominator rating, and again, like that is elite. Again, college dominator is just percentage of it for running back of rush yards and rushing touchdowns, 30.3%, which is fantastic. College dominator percentage is a 68th percentile, so that's well above acceptable. And again, we're just going for upside at this point. In Cleveland, even with Deshaun Watson, assuming he's there for the whole season, they like to run the ball. I don't think they're going to change that. That's part of their DNA. And
100%.
like Jerome Ford there. So, all right, brother, we got.
I think the next one is, dude, this is where you take the home run RBs. Like, this is where you take your shots. And I think Keontae Ingram is that guy behind James Conner. I think he is going to he is the guy that can handle a workload, not Eno Benjamin. I think he'll beat out Eno Benjamin quite easily, to be honest. Ingram was damn good at SC. He played well. He's a good sized back, 220-pound back. He's got okay speed, but it's just about opportunity. And if that starter goes down, you can have yourself an instant starter that's coming off your taxi squad and be able to implement them right away. I think he's going to have a role anyways because there is no RBs there anymore. It's just James Conner. And I think Ingram can be that guy, and that's why I'm taking Ingram.
Yeah, so Keontae, he is, like you said, he's 6 foot, 221 pounds. He's still around a 4.5340, which is
that's great.
79th percentile speed score.
Yeah.
So he's quick as hell. Yeah, fantastic. I feel like, you know, as we were starting to percolate, a lot of people have been actually participating in these real rookie drafts. Keontae Ingram has been moving up a lot of people's boards, and that includes us, man. We're definitely high on Keontae Ingram. All right, brother. Going back now. So this is a nice little spot where I'm still looking at, again, Isaiah Spiller is still on the board. Pierre Strong is still on the board. The reason that I might not lean Pierre Strong here is just because there's about 8,000 running backs. JJ Taylor is still on the Patriots. Obviously, Ramondre Stevenson, Damian Harris. Ever heard of him? And then, of course, they went and they also drafted Kevin Harris. So they've got quite a bit of running backs there. The one guy that I feel like I need to take a stab on this guy, okay? Because we liked him pre-draft. He's a little bit small, but he does have like the Darnell Mooney size. Is Wan'Dale Robinson. And I'm going to go one. Oh, no, actually, never mind. I already took
Wan'Dale was taken. I took him last pick.
There you go. Screw it then. All right. I'm going to go Isaiah Spiller then. That makes my life easier.
Yep.
This is what happens when you're trying to multitask. All right. Isaiah Spiller, LA Chargers. He was good in college. Okay. So, you know, if you didn't ever look at any of the analytics, watch him in college. He looks good. He's pretty darn good at catching the ball. And then he goes and pretty much falls flat on his face in all of his testing. Now, he didn't do well in the combine. He also didn't do well at his pro day. Trashman over at Roster Watch is convinced he was running hurt. And so I don't know if I buy it. I probably don't buy it. But again, we know LA likes to do what they do. It's really an injury away from being a starter. And when you talk about an opportunity to get a piece of that LA Chargers, just super offense, give me that all day. I'm going to go Isaiah Spiller.
That's awesome.
Brother. You got.
Yeah, I think you're right. If Austin Eckler goes down, and I think Spiller could fill in for a few games and be the starter if need be. I think he could do that. I just don't think he could be the guy for the long term. But I think, I think you're right on there. Okay, so this is where I get to take my guys. I love it that we get to go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. I'm going to take Jelani Woods, man. Jelani Woods is the freakiest prospect in this whole draft. His RAS score was number 1 out of 2,000 prospects that have come in as a tight end. He is number 1. Like, he is the most freaky athlete there is. He was an ex-quarterback at Virginia, and he knows how to play the game a little bit. I think I love that extra aspect of him as a tight end, because a lot of tight ends come, like Logan Thomas, he came in and was able to produce, was an ex-quarterback, came in and transferred into a tight end in the NFL. And so I think that is a guy that shows it's possible. And Jelani Woods being a monster of a man. When I was listening to Chris Ballard talk about him, he was astonished how big he was in person. Like this guy, he's LeBron James, dude. Like he's like
Brandon. He's
Go
6'7",
yeah,
252 pounds. Okay, 6'7", 252 pounds. You want to know what he ran? For the 40-yard dash, he ran a 4.61, which is a 94th percentile for his size.
Thank you.
He ran a 6.95 three-cone drill. We talk about for wide receivers, you want a 7. Anything under a 7 is considered good. He ran a 6.95 at 6'7", 252 pounds. He was also the second tight end drafted off the board to the Indianapolis Colts. He's a little bit older, which we actually like for the tight end. He's 23
I like that.
and a half. He'll be 24 by the time the season starts. I don't hate it, man. Jelani Woods is somebody that I keep targeting in my drafts, and I just haven't had an opportunity to really. Oh, what? Maybe I missed this foot, but how do I put my foot in my mouth? I typically do it all the time. So
it's about Wan'Dale because Wan'Dale was drafted.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah, he's small. You didn't see him. That's all.
That's right. You know, I couldn't quite see over the body.
See over. Yeah.
Okay. So
but yeah,
Jelani
you'll
Woods
see Jelani Woods. That's my guy. I think.
Yeah.
I've been stashing him in as many places as I can. The Mulally Cox is the only one that's in that room that shows any kind of competition. Chris Ballard said that if this guy performs, we're going to be able to, we're going to be very comfortable with him on the field as a rookie. And just everything that they've been saying about him, they like him. So I'm excited for his opportunity.
Yeah. So like the only tight end that I think can actually have year one instant production in this class is Trey McBride. Yep. Greg Dulcich, who we'll probably get to, not this round, but next round. I like Greg Dulcich, who's a great natural pass catcher.
Very good player.
But he went to Denver, and we know Alberto is there. Alberto's got a few years in the system. Russ doesn't typically throw towards the tight end, but maybe that's just because he hasn't really had a tight end.
He will a little bit. Yeah,
he had Jimmy Graham for a little while. Right, but Jimmy Graham was, I'd say, the son.
Zach Miller. Career, people forget about Zach Miller up in Seattle years when Miller, when we won the championship when I say we, when the Seattle Seahawks won the championship. Zach Miller was a major part of that team, and people don't realize his ability to run block and be able to pass catch and not have to come off the field ever was a huge help in that offense. Go look at the tape. Zach Miller is laying people out in the blocking and catching some ridiculous third down passes. So he was a big part of that, but not as big as Jimmy Graham. His target share was huge. It was bigger there, but yeah, Albert O. Greg Dulcich, it would not surprise me if Greg Dulcich by week 6 or 7 ended up out snapping him for pass catching duties. I could totally see that.
I agree with that. Absolutely agree with that. All right. So last I checked, we're still doing a super flex, and Matt Corral's still on the board. So I would be
there. He is.
I didn't go Matt Corral right here. He's, of course, from Ole Miss. He didn't have a great season last year, but that's because he didn't really have a lot of receivers. He went to the Carolina Panthers. Now, just, of course, over the news wire just yesterday, we saw that the Carolina Panthers were still maybe sort of considering Jimmy Garoppolo. So it puts a little pause, right? I mean, like, to be honest with you, I don't know why they wouldn't try to go with Jimmy Garoppolo at this point. What do you think that the Niners are going to ask for Jimmy G? Like, realistically, do you really think you're going to ask for more than a fourth?
So I believe. So there was I was just watching Pat McAfee, and he was talking about a beat reporter. I forget which one, not Mike something. Where he said that he's got the story that if there is no trade that's going to be able to happen for Jimmy, that Jimmy is going to request his release. That was possible. He might request his release because he doesn't want to deal with this anymore. And so we'll see if that happens. That means if there's word on the street that Jimmy might do that through the agents and the back channeling that the NFL has, then they could teams could just be waiting out the Niners and be like, you got to trade him, man. You're going to trade him, or you got to release him. He wants out. He doesn't want to play there, and that could happen. So you never know, but Carolina has to get somebody in there. I think either it's Baker or it's Jimmy. Somebody's going there. I don't know who, but somebody will. But Matt Corral, I mean, as of right now, he has the opportunity to be the guy. But we'll see. I mean, Mike Dickinson likes the landing spot for Matt Corral a lot. The college offense, the college coach, the high RPO with CMC and DJ Moore. I think they would be really good in that kind of offense. So we'll see. I mean, Matt Corral could be the guy, but I don't mind taking a shot in a super flex. I'll take him all day right here, for sure.
Yeah. So in general, this quarterback class was a little bit shorter. Kenny Pickett 6'3", Desmond Ridder 6'3", Matt Corral 6'2", Malik Willis is 6'1", Bailey Zappi 6'1", so Sam Howell 6'1".
Yeah.
So in general, it's a shorter quarterback class, but 6'2", we don't mind that. I liked Matt Corral as a prospect.
You did, I didn't mind him.
Yeah, he slipped slowly down my board. I feel like he was kind of one of those out of sight, out of mind situations, right? Because he did get hurt in the college football playoffs, and he made his way back, but he wasn't in the conversation, right? But you close your eyes. I think Matt Corral literally does have the opportunity to be the best quarterback in this class. Now, it might not be saying a lot, but in a year or two, he could certainly be the most relevant, both for fantasy and for real life football. I feel, we use this comp a lot, but I feel like he's like a Derek Carr type player, right? Where, maybe he can't win games for you, but he can certainly play well. He can probably be a game manager. Maybe he'll have seasons where he overproduces what you think above our expectations. But Matt Corral, I mean, at the end of the day, he was still a late third round pick. It's like you can't beat past that. But at this stage of the draft, as of right now, as of today, we're recording this on May 21st. He is in line potentially to be the starter day one.
Yep.
He has that opportunity. Yep. So you got to take it. All right, brother, on to you.
All right. I'm going to take, this is another shot across the bow at an aging player that is a sneaky backup to him and could break out and be a lottery ticket. And that's Hassan Haskins on the Tennessee Titans. Nice. If okay. Derrick Henry does struggle and have injury issues going into it, because of his high volume and he's aging out a little bit. This guy's a 6'2", 230-pound banger. He had 270 rush attempts for 1,300 yards in Michigan for 20 touchdowns. 20 touchdowns. Had 18 receptions for 131 yards on 22 targets. So he's not exactly. He's just like Derek. Like kind of high rush guy. It's just, I just like the situation. He is the only guy behind Derrick Henry that I think is viable for being a starter. If that does end up happening. I think that's a guy I've been targeting quite a bit, especially in this area of the draft.
Yeah, I mean, I like Hassan Haskins. Again, you go back to the measurables, and he didn't really test, unfortunately. So
he didn't
really get a good gauge of his athleticism. But as you noted, 228 pounds, 6'2". He'll be probably close to 23 by the time the season rolls around. So again, he's another one of these older running backs. That's kind of the theme of this class. But the Tennessee Titans, they like to run the damn ball. Even when Derrick Henry got hurt last year, they still continued to try to run the ball. So Hassan Haskins, again, injury away, and Derrick Henry, man, like, yes, he might not have the same wear and tear for a quarterback for a running back, his age, but he is getting up there. We saw it last year, and man, let me tell you, Brandon. Okay, let me just peel back the onion. Okay, so I'm 36. I'm getting up there, right? My body does not recover like it used to. I was painting on the weekend. Okay, just painting around the house, doing a deck. Okay. Monday, I'm running. About 20 minutes into my run, I got to pull up. I tweaked my freaking calf, okay? It's now a week later. My calf is still sore. I retweaked it the other day. Like, shit takes longer to heal, okay? Yeah. Guess what, Derek? You ain't no spring chicken no more. So going and getting a guy like Hassan Haskins, this is a guy that Al's been super high on as well. And with you, Al being high on Hassan, like, count me in, baby. I'm on board.
There you go.
A little bit of Hassan Haskins, baby.
I'm in.
So peeling back the onion again. Okay, so we got Sam Howell still on the board. A little bit early for him. He's a 5th round pick, 501 to the Washington Commanders. I really don't see him as being a starting quarterback. He's got backup written all over him. Okay, I think he's a decent backup, but he's definitely a backup.
But he's got behind Carson Wentz, so he might have a shot. You never know.
Yeah, that's you're not wrong. You're not wrong. Khalil Shakir out of Boise State, of course, he went 505 to the Buffalo Bills. Jameson Crowder is there. I mean, Khalil Shakir is going to be the slot. So this year might not have a really clear opportunity to get a lot of touches in this year. However, one thing that has been extremely disappointing with Jameson Crowder is when he was on the field, man, I had
Stud
Jameson Crowder in my lineups. The problem is he got hurt way too
all the
freaking
time.
often. And it was one of those situations where he would get hurt in like the 4 minutes into the first quarter. So he'd give you like the week before, he would go 8 for 80, and you're hoping he gets in the box. Solid floor for your flex wide receiver 3. Next week, tweaks his ankle, big 2-burger. So that gets killer. But what does that create? That creates opportunity, Brandon Diadam. So I'm going to go Khalil Shakir right now. Another guy that I liked. Yeah, can't go wrong with Khalil.
Yeah. I like it, dude. His film is fun. I like his film. He's a good player. He's bigger than you think he is. I like him. I like that pick. So I'm gonna take my shot right here. I'm gonna go Justine Ross, the undrafted free agent of the Chiefs, all because of medical. Nothing to do about his football. Nothing to do with that. Has everything to do with about his risk as a player for a contract. I am drafting talent and upside here and on a team that is looking for wide receivers to do things. If we would have drafted, if we were in the Devy, if we would have drafted earlier, Justin Ross after his freshman year would have been a top 5 pick out of that class. This guy has been producing 6'4", just 210-pound guy, arm length 32 and an eighth, 22 years old, out of Clemson. It's just all about, look at this freshman year right here. 14 games, 46 catches on 75 targets, 1,000 yards, 14.8 target share with an 80% catch rate. That's pretty good. And then he just had, just health issues. And I just feel like I don't know why they just didn't draft him in like the 5th, 6th round. I would just to own his rights, because this guy has talent. I mean, he could be a Michael Thomas type of guy, or if he got the opportunity. I like his route running. I think he's pretty damn good. We'll see what he can do. But I like taking a shot on him because I just want to get spicy right now.
Okay, so you just picked it like basically, the 11th pick in round 3. This is where you want to get spicy. This is where you want to go, and this is where you take your big swings, because the probability of him actually breaking out is probably going to be what, 20-25% at best. And when I say breakout, it means less. Probably a wide receiver 3 on your team. And so, you got to take the swings here. The reason that he fell is because yes, he had the amazing early career production. The problem is
he sucked later.
He sucked. Like he's like, lack of a better, he has not played well, right? And he had the devastating neck injury that, for all intents and purposes, could have ended his career. Then he was dealing with some leg issues last year. He just hasn't done anything, right? And so you want to get the name. He's got the brand equity. Play for Clemson, and you go for it. So I don't have a problem with that. I don't have a problem with that. There's a few guys I probably would have taken ahead of him, but here's the thing, Brandon. At 311. I'm totally fine with it.
Dude, I like that's what people got to understand. Like, if you got guys that you like, this is the part of the draft where you can just do it, man. Like, just go ahead and draft the guys that you want, that you think jump out on tape or whatever. Like, you can, everybody at this point, you can make an excuse for in any shape, way, or form if you like them. Like, it's just what it is.
There you go. Clipboard Jesus has 100% exposure to Kate Otten. He may, he'll be an honorable mention a little bit later, Clip, but probably not going in round 3 or 4 for us. No. So the thing about Justin Ross, Brandon, I've legit seen him in real drafts go around a 2-3 turn. Like that. To me, that's too damn early. That's too
high.
Early. Okay. I
waited here. I was gonna wait till the 4th round, but I was like, no, he's gonna be sliding. He's gonna take it. I was like, he's going to take him. I just wanted him. Like, so it was either that or I was going to take Sam Howell, which was a boring ass pick, but go ahead.
Okay. I'm going to give you a pick that isn't boring ass. He's a player that we already talked about on the board. Pierre Strong, man, South Dakota State he went in round 4 to the Patriots. Again, I am 100% convinced. I think we all are. I mean, this is this is not crazy to say this, but he's going to be the James White replacement. Like James White just came off a pretty devastating hip injury, and he's not young. Was he 30, 31 years old? Which, can we just show some respect to James White and what an amazing career he's had? The last couple of seasons he's had the injuries, but man, James White, as a Patriots fan, we salute you, dear friend. However, I think there's going to be a change in the guard. Pierre Strong is everything a quarterback can love. So let me just pull up the stats real quick here, okay? So Pierre Strong at the combine ran a 4.37 40-yard dash. That's 113.5 speed score, which is a 94th percentile. We like that, okay?
Jesus.
He's 207 pounds, 5'11", so he's not huge, but 2.5 to 210, that's pretty much what you want in your scat backs. And then you bake into the fact that he really does. I mean, look, again, they have JJ Taylor there, which I like JJ Taylor, but he didn't really do anything. And he's like, you talk about small, he's like my size dude. He's like a jacked up Shane, which I'm not a big dude. So give him credit there. And Pierre Strong's pretty good at catching the ball. So I like his chance to go in there and contribute probably on special teams to start, but he's going to be in the game. And man, if he shows well, typically Bill Belichick isn't afraid to redshirt rookies. But Pierre Strong, if he shows that he's got the ability to pass protect, because that's where he's going to be playing, is on third downs. He can be electric with the ball in his hands. Like, to me, Pierre Strong reminds me a lot of Kenny Nwangwu of the Minnesota Vikings. Kenny, look, he didn't really do much last year, but on special teams, I believe he had a couple, at least one, with either a punt return or kick return for a touchdown. Freaking explosive as hell. That's the kind of player that Pierre Strong is. So if he can go perform on special teams, just start. Be active on game day. I love it. Look, hey, picking a Patriot at this stage of the draft, there's nothing wrong with that clipboard, Jesus. So get off my back, brother. All right. What you got? You got
all right, because it's a super flex. It's a super flex. So I'm just going to take Sam Howell here, so he's just off the board, and we don't have to deal with him anymore. He's just he's a backup, but he can maybe, if Carson Wentz is just completely atrocious, they yank him and they throw in the kid just to see what he's got. He's a big arm mobile quarterback. Before the draft, people were talking, like there were some clicks out there that liked him quite a bit. He's 6'1", 218 pounds, went 5'01". I don't know. He's just an undersized guy. He's just a backup, super flex. You just take quarterbacks at this point.
Yeah, dude. I mean, look, the reality is, like, he's probably not a starter. He's a little bit small for a starter, unless you've got elite abilities like running. He's like a small Josh Allen. That's how we comped him, right? He's like Josh Allen Jr. He reminds me of Baker Mayfield, except Baker Mayfield is a better passer of the ball than Sam Howell. So
by far,
you can't fault that. I think that's a perfect pick. Now, this is where it gets tough, okay? Do I want to go with a little jitterbug like Calvin Austin? Do I want to go pull the trigger on Greg Dulcich? Do I want to take a shot on like Kyren Williams? This is a good place. So for Kyren Williams, people, this was a player that pre-combine people absolutely loved. Another player that went and he almost had like a historical bad combine, Kyren Williams.
Really bad.
Yeah, like historically bad. The thing is, last year in college at Notre Dame, he caught 42 receptions for 359 yards, which was a 10.8% target share. Okay.
Big.
The year before that, he had 35 receptions for 313 yards, which was a 13.3% target share. We talk about target share that we want like 78% to say, okay, this guy's going to be a competent pass catcher. 13%, 10%, like that's elite. He also had 17 total touchdowns. So for what all that he wasn't at the combine, on tape, for all you tape watchers out there, he looked fantastic. So at this stage of the draft, again, I'm just going to go for upside for just in case Kyren Williams is actually a thing. And here's the thing. One of the Rams.
Yeah.
They don't have Sony Michel. Darrell Henderson's hurt all the time. Cam Akers, I still believe in Cam Akers. People who are giving him a hard time for not looking like himself last year when he came back from a bloody Achilles injury, in a historic rate. Guys, get off the guy's back, man. He still looked okay. He looked better than Sony Michel. So get out of here with that. But I'm still going to take Kyren Williams. I feel like at this point in the draft, the value is there, and I'm going to go for it. So
I hear you on that. There's a lot of vacated rushes that Sony handled last year, and somebody's got to fill it. I think it's gonna, I do believe in Cam Akers as well. I think he's gonna be a monster in that offense, and I'm excited for that. But the next pick for me, I'm gonna go with that guy you just said, Greg Dulcich. I like him.
Dulcich,
He's
yes.
6'4", 243-pound tight end. He was a wide receiver, but he ate himself out of position most likely and just got too big and too strong. But he still he catches the ball extremely natural. Like
Yes.
he can do that, and he can still break away and just muscle up on some safeties. And I think he can play very well. And all he's got is Albert O in front of him. I know there's this big Albert O clique on Twitter, and they believe he's the next coming of a big tight end. But it kind of reminds me of like Jonnu Smith kind of hype that people got caught up in, that I got caught up in because of the athleticism that he had. But I just feel that they drafted Greg Dulcich because he honestly, catching the football, he was probably second
One of the better
best
ones,
in the class. I think honestly he was. It's just he wasn't as athletic as a Jelani Woods or whatever. But I think he has a great opportunity here for the Denver Broncos, and this is makes sense. I like him a lot. I think he can do that, and I think he has some very he has trademark plays in his film at UCLA.
Yeah, so Greg Dulcich last year had 42 receptions for 725 yards, which was a 16.5% target share. So it's not huge. I mean, you want 15 to 20. It's acceptable. And like I know Trey McBride's already drafted. Trey McBride had 90 receptions for 1,121 yards, like 34% target share. That's just insane, Trey McBride. Yeah. My God. Okay, so going back to my list here. Man. Okay, so I would say at this point in the draft, I have to. Like, I'm staring at Tyquan Thornton, and maybe there's something that Bill Belichick knows that we don't know. I know he's fast. He's probably not going to be relevant. But if I'm choosing between Tyquan Thornton, who had round 2 draft capital, versus Calvin Austin, who had round 4 draft capital, I'm going to take Tyquan Thornton here. I don't love it, but again, round 4 in your drafts, you're going for upside, and maybe there's a possibility that Tyquan Thornton's actually going to be better than we think he is. So I'm going to go Tyquan. He was the fastest runner in the 40. It had zero correlation to success at the NFL, but the Patriots drafted him there, and he's going to be the Nelson Aguilar replacement. So if you can get, I don't know, flex value out of him on later in the season, then I'm okay with that. On to you, brother.
I'm going to go Isaiah Pacheco here.
Okay. Yeah,
I just think he's got one of the best prospect speed score. He's fast. He's on a team that, I don't know, like has some question marks at the position with RB, with Clyde Edwards-Helaire having his struggles. But there was some news. I was just listening to an interview he just had this morning that he said before last year he had gallbladder surgery, and he literally dropped weight all the way down to the 160s and recovered for that. And he didn't run or do anything football related or athletic related until OTAs from the Super Bowl.
Wow.
So I don't know. And he was talking about having this being his first real offseason of being able to train like an NFL running back. Maybe he does something here, but in the off chance he doesn't, you never know. Isaiah Pacheco, he's just a freaky athlete that might have an opportunity. I mean, I'm going to take a shot here. Why not? And this is for Mike. This is a Mike pick.
Mike pick, yeah. Mike was pretty high on Isaiah Pacheco. Okay, so the thing about Pacheco is the Kansas City Chiefs, I think historically, we know that they like to have their workhorse, right? But they haven't really had their 3-down back workhorse on the team. They don't have that guy on the team right now. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, for all the draft capital that he got, he hasn't been that guy. He hasn't been healthy, and he hasn't performed when he's been on the field. So guys like Darrell Williams come in, and Damian Williams come in, and they make instant fantasy gold, right? Like, you want a piece of that Patrick Mahomes offense, and Isaiah Pacheco can give you that. Round 7 draft capital, you don't love it, but he was still drafted to the Chiefs, and he's a taxi squad guy. You get him, you throw him into that taxi squad, and he's the kind of player where he's like, oh, shit, I don't want to, like, do I want to keep him on my active roster? Do I want to put him in my taxi squad? Do I want to waste a taxi squad spot? Guys, gals,
running backs.
You want to promote your players off to taxi squad because that means that you're going to be good. That means you're going to be relevant. So put Isaiah Pacheco on your taxi squad with pride, and you hope that you're going to elevate him to your starting roster, and maybe you can get 2 or 3 starting weeks out of him because we're around 4 of this rookie draft, Brendan. At this point, you just want starters.
This is bad.
Or starting opportunities 1 or 2 weeks in the season. So
you're trying to get a couple injury games. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so right now I'm looking at a few different players. Okay, so I like Tyler Beatty, Baltimore Ravens. Justice Hill isn't it. Gus Edwards. The more I've heard about it, like there hasn't been a lot of buzz about Gus Edwards being ready and healthy. So Tyler Beatty's one of those guys. And then I'm looking at Calvin Austin again, a jitterbug. He's undersized. I mean, you were like a huge Rondell Moore guy. I was on that bandwagon as well. The opportunity or the chance of these smaller guys breaking out, it's so small. I don't care how good you are. So then I'm looking at Ty Chandler out of North Carolina going to the Minnesota Vikings and Snoop Connor. So I'm going to lean towards Ty Chandler here. Ty Chandler coming out of North Carolina. Dalvin Cook is there. Alexander Madison is there. So Ty Chandler, he's a player that I'm probably going to be putting directly into my taxi squad, just like we talked about. Probably won't be relevant this year. But the thing is that we know Minnesota likes to run the ball. In a year from now, there's going to be Cousins is going to be there. Okay. We know that Justin Jefferson is going to be there, but will Adam Thielen be there? Will Dalvin Cook still be there? Will he be healthy? I mean, he'll be there, but will he be healthy? Alexander Madison's, I believe, a free agent after this season. So you look at opportunity. Dalvin Cook is hurt pretty much every single season for at least a few games. So again, if Tyler Chandler dresses up, he might have an opportunity to play in a game, and he might show some chops, and he's pretty decent at catching the ball as well. So Ty Chandler swinging for the fences here. Go ahead, Brendan.
I am going to go with Tyler Beatty. I think the opportunity is there with Edwards' struggles here. I'm just looking at Tyler Beatty's numbers. I mean, he's sub 200 pounds, 198 pounds, 5'8", smaller guy. In 2021, in 12 games, he had 268 rush attempts for 1,600 yards and 18 touchdowns, 54 receptions on 76 targets for 330 yards. And that was a target share of 16.7% for RB, age 22. And he ran a 4.45, 90th percentile for the running back position. Very, very good runner in college. Can he the thing is, can a sub 200 pound back translate that to the NFL? That is what it is. His best comp for player profiler is Giovanni Bernard, which is, I think, right on. I think that's really good comp for him. But in that run heavy offense, I'll take it. You never know. J.K. Dobbins, you never know with his injury as well. He's a violent runner and cutter of when he runs. So he does run the risk of more injuries possibly because of how violent he does run and change the direction. So you never know. But Tyler Beatty, man, he played in the SEC at Missouri, man. He put up big numbers. So I'll take him here.
Yeah, here's the thing. He's not going to be as good as Gio Bernard because he doesn't have the stash, baby. Like, that's the stash swagger. The stash swagger. Have you seen Khalil Shakir's stash, man?
No, I haven't.
That's another stash. Go check that one out. I like that one as well.
All right, I'll definitely do that.
Okay, so at this stage of the game, a lot of the good running backs are off the board, but there's one guy that I wouldn't necessarily he wasn't on my radar at all. But I'm gonna go with Snoop Connor here of Ole Miss. He went to the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Good pick.
And like that depth chart is wide open. Travis Etienne, we're on record of saying he's just another DeAndre Swift in terms of the talent. Word is he could have probably played at the end of the season, maybe, right? Like he might have been healthy enough.
Why?
Maybe not 100% healthy, but there was the why. So of course they're not going to rush him back. Was he worth a first-round draft pick? Talent-wise, probably yes. We know roster construction for the NFL teams, probably not, but he still was, okay? Obviously, a different coaching staff is going to be there, but you look at the talent doesn't lie. He's going to be the RB1 on that team, but James Robinson is probably going to miss most of the season, if not the entire season. He's somebody that you should not be drafting even late in your best ball drafts because you're probably not going to get a lot of usage out of him. Snoop Connor can come in and replace James Robinson. So at that stage, give me Snoop Connor, baby.
Okay.
You up?
So I'm going to take a guy with probably the best draft cap of anybody right now, and that's Danny Gray. Danny Gray here, 6 foot, 197 pounds, ran a 4.33 at the combine. This guy is a freaky fast player. Who knows with I think the shift into Trey Lance, I think they're going to go run heavy, play action, go deep type of throws. And I think Danny Gray is going to fit the bill for that. So he could have some explosion games. It's well documented with the IU, with the coaching staff. Early in the season last year, he wasn't doing what they wanted out of him, but Ayuk is still a damn good player. I don't think he's going to go anywhere. I think he has a 30-year breakout. But Danny Gray, I mean, if anybody gets hurt, Danny Gray can step up. According to the Niners' eyes, by taking him in the 3rd round, I think that's a safe pick here at this pick.
Yeah. So Danny Gray, Clip's giving you props here. Wow, he's actually being nice to us. Nice, thanks, Clip. Danny Gray, an excellent pick. He is. I'll be honest. Danny Gray wasn't somebody that was really
at SMU. Sorry.
Yeah, he's at SMU. Of course, drafted by the San Francisco 49ers at pick 3.41, which was essentially a compensatory 3rd-round pick. Yeah, I don't hate it. I mean, he's kind of buried on the depth chart. I mean, we know that the Niners are a team that's going to want to run the ball, but Danny Gray, he's a solid pick there. I like it. Okay, this is the choice that I'm facing right now. Do you want Calvin Austin? Were you going to go for the talent, speed, jitterbug, Pittsburgh Steelers? Or am I going to go Velus Jones, the guy who's probably older than I am, but I got to go Calvin Austin here. I'm just going to follow my rankings. Calvin Austin, drafted at pick 4.33 by the Pittsburgh Steelers. James Washington was a miss, okay? But pretty much every other wide receiver that the Pittsburgh Steelers draft is going to be a hit. Again, Calvin Austin, he's a little bit smaller than you'd like when you're with your tight ends. In particular, he is, as I'm pulling it up here, Calvin Austin he's 5'8", 170 pounds. Okay, so he's small. He is definitely small, but he's quick as hell, as you would expect. You're on a 4.32 40. He has a 6.65 3-cone drill. He actually did the testing, which is fantastic. But even though, okay, Brandon, at a 4.32, he's still only a 39th percentile speed score for his size. Oof. That's not good. That's not good. Okay, but
not good.
He's a good player. He was at the Senior Bowl. He stood out at the Senior Bowl as one of the best players. Okay, it was Christian Watson, it was Jalen Tolbert, and it was Calvin Austin were the guys that really jumped off the page. Again, it comes down to his size. If Calvin Austin was 2 inches, even 3 inches taller, like 5'9" would be better, but 3 inches taller, 5'11", 175 pounds, I would be a little bit more comfortable with him. Like the Wan'Dale Robinson type body mold, but he's not. That's just not who he is. But I like Calvin Austin here, man. Like it's I've gotten a few shares of him, and every time I do it, I'm like, sure, why not in the 4th round, right? Yeah. All right, last pick, Brandon. Then we're gonna do some honorable mentions.
I actually I lied on Danny Gray. He wasn't the highest available with the draft cap. It's actually this guy, Velus Jones, out of Tennessee, 6 foot, 204 pound wide receiver, picked at 307. Ran a 4.31 at the combine, speed score of 116, 97th percentile, just ridiculous. His change of direction is not good. It's actually low 20th, 20-something percentile. So out of Tennessee last year, 13 games, he had 62 catches with 83 targets, 807 yards, with a 22% target share. Catch rate of 75%. He was a special teamer as well. The biggest issue with him is his age. He is 25 years old. Yes. He is old as shit. But the thing about him is the reason why I'm taking him. I'm actually taking him in quite a few places in this area. The reason I'm taking him is because Justin, the quarterback, wanted him picked him out specifically out of all the tape. They got that GM sent them some tape of wide receivers that they were looking at late, and this is what Justin Fields picked. This is who the guy he picked. So if he picked him and he likes him, I'm assuming he's going to try and make him succeed. So that's another little small thing I like about him is that he was actually targeted. So
yeah. So Justin, come talk to the Flex Network next time you're looking for a wide receiver because
we'll help
Velus
you.
Jones, Velus Jones went off the board at 307. After him with Jalen Tolbert, give me Tolbert.
Oof.
After him with David Bell, give me David Bell.
Oof.
And in the 5th round, Khalil Shakir was there as well. So I would take any of those players over and above Velus Jones. I mean, look, the thing about Velus is he is a little older. We don't like that. From a fantasy perspective, we do like to look in 2 to 3 year windows, though. So you just pray. I mean, he's probably going to
start. He's a one contract player. He's a one contract player for a 3rd round pick. And that's scary as a GM that they did that for him, especially because they could have got him way later, I think.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. I mean, again, it's these speed guys, Brendan. The NFL overvalues speed, and I get it, but you can get these guys in probably rounds 4, 5, or 6. They need to learn. They're starting to learn about the running back position. They're just not quite there yet on the running back or on the wide receivers. The thing is, though, don't you think a guy like Jalen Tolbert or David Bell would have been so much better for Justin Fields? David Bell, all he does is get open and get first downs. Okay, so
if he would have been there, I would have knocked Darnell Mooney down quite a bit. If Bell would have ended up there, because Bell would have been the guy. I'm telling you, Bell has the size, the ability, the route running, and this. Even though he's a little slower, he's just Keenan Allen. He's really just Keenan Allen, and I can't stop that comp because that's who he is to me. And I think he would have been great as a Bear. I thought that was where he was going to end up, but I was wrong. Mm-hmm. And now the Browns have a steal of a wide receiver behind Amari Cooper.
Yeah, no, they really do. They really do. Okay, so we're just going to do 4 rounds because at round 5, it just became an absolute show.
Let's stop here. Yeah.
So this is the guy that, generally speaking, is actually going a lot. I mean, he's going in the 5th round in most drafts, but in a lot of drafts, he's also going undrafted. And so I'm gonna swing for the fences, baby. I'm gonna go with your boy, Bo Melton out of Rutgers.
There you go.
708 by the Seattle Seahawks. Mr. Irrelevant, Bo Melton. Why do I like Bo Melton? Well, for one thing, he's another wide receiver that likes to get open. We honestly felt that he should have probably gone around 4. He was one of those day 3 guys, but early round day 3 guys. And he's a little bit smaller. He's 5'11", 189 pounds. But again, he's got the speed. He had a 4.34 40-yard dash. He's got the agility. He's 0.98 3-point drill. And he knows how to catch the ball, right? To me, Bo Melton is going to be like a Tyler Lockett type replacement, right? That's the kind of player that he is. And when you look at his best comparables, guess who's number 1 for his best comparable? Just guess, Brendan.
Tyler Lockett.
Tyler Lockett is his best comparable player. So Tyler Lockett, Nelson Aguilar, Curtis Samuel, Kenny Stills, Ted Ginn. So just close your eyes. Think about how those players play. He's dynamic with the ball in his hand. Ain't getting no respect. The problem is Russ ain't in Seattle anymore. So is it going to be – who's it going to be? Is it going to be Drew Lock that's throwing in a damn ball? Is it going to be Geno Smith, who apparently is the lead on the board right now? I honestly think
if Jimmy G gets released, I could see him as a Seahawk, and Trashman Truther's dreams will come true.
Yeah, I think Baker Mayfield would be fantastic there. I would love Baker Mayfield in Seattle. And
I think Baker would make a lot of sense there too.
Baker is better than he's better than 50% of the quarterbacks in this league, right? He's a middling average quarterback in the NFL. We forget because Justin Herbert came in the league and lit the league on fire. But when Baker was a rookie, he set the records for I believe it was passing yards and passing touchdowns for a rookie at the time. So give Seattle a quarterback. Just give him an opportunity. Just give him a chance for life, Pete. Come on, do your part, brother. But if they can get a quarterback, Bo probably not going to be relevant this year, but like the talent. And at this point, I'm drafting for talent and maybe even situation. Who's third on the depth chart there? Probably Bo.
Probably Bo.
All right, brother. So that's it. Is there anybody that we haven't mentioned that you think is worth mentioning to the people? Any honorable?
No, there was one guy that caught my eye when I was watching Tennessee Titans uh, local stuff about Burks, and I was watching them run through drills. One dude that caught my eye was Kyle Phillips of the Tennessee Titans. 5'3", 181 pounds. He has some sweet feet, man. He has some nice
5
feet.
foot what? Sorry,
5'11",
11.
and he has some sweet feet. And I just liked how he looked when he was running drills. That's all I can say from here, and that's somebody I possibly look at. If Burks fails, and if Robert Woods or if Robert Woods' knee fails, he might be thrust into a role.
Yeah. No, I think that makes sense. Kevin Harris, South Carolina, another New England Patriot.
Yep.
He was drafted in round 6, so decent draft capital. Obviously after Pierce Strong 2 rounds later, but
I think he's better than Pierce Strong. I think he's better. I think he's a better pass catcher. I think anybody, if any of the rookie RPs are going to be the guy that does the pass catching work, I think it's Kevin Harris. But that's just me.
Yeah, he's a great prospect. We liked him coming out. He was a favorite. Cody Carpentier got me at least onto him. When Carpentier is on a player, that's somebody that you want to go and do a little bit more research on. So yeah, Kevin Harris, again, he's a guy, just grab him in your 5th round. Just these are the types of players.
Stash him.
Pick him up, stash him. If he goes undrafted, go put a couple of fab dollars on him and stash him away, man, because running backs go down like flies. And we know the Patriots, like more than any other team, are a meritocracy. The best player will play for the Patriots. They don't care what your draft capital is. We see it all the time. And so just, go swing for the fences with Kevin Harris. Now, the one thing is, looking back through 4 rounds, we drafted 3 tight ends. So another tight end that's probably worth at least considering, Cade Otton, your boy Clipboard Jesus. Cade Otton, the reason that he didn't get a lot of buzz was because he was injured throughout the entire process. So he didn't have an opportunity to test. But he went 4.01 to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, which as of right now, they don't really have a tight end. Like Gronk is not signed on the team, right? So there's an opportunity for Cade Otton in year 1 to potentially contribute. Okay. Other players we didn't really talk about. Jeremy Ruckert went to the New York Jets in round 3. So at that point,
I like that, dude. I like Ruckert. Yeah. He was just buried in that Ohio State offense.
Yeah, he was. He's a little bit smaller. He's only 245 pounds, which for a tight end is small. You want 250 typically, but move tight end.
He can gain weight.
He's okay. Yeah. Oh, no, excuse me. I'm looking at Cade Otton. Jeremy Ruckert's 250 pounds, so I take it back.
Yeah, he's big.
250 pounds. He's fine. And I mean, that's after that, man. It's like if you've got a player that you like that we didn't talk about today, just draft him in round 5. That's when you do it. You have permission from the Flex Network to just go draft your guy. So with that, Brandon, we're on an hour. I think we did a fantastic job. We held down the fort without Mike here. And any parting words for the people?
No, just draft season's here. Have fun, and if you're really high on somebody and we're not, then do what you want, man. But I just, I will say this, just don't overreach. Value is dropping in drafts like crazy because of just wild reaches, because I honestly believe this draft class is so kind of undefined on the rankings for everybody that there's a lot of different outcomes that are happening in drafts that I've seen. It's just, you just never know who's going to be there for you in the late 2nd or early 3rd. I'm telling you.
No, you're right. I mean, look, like we took Tyrion Davis-Price at the late round 2. He's
not in most drafts.
He's going like the 3-4, 3-5 in most drafts. So he's a player that I'm trading up for a lot. You look at our round 3, we hammered running backs. That's where you're going to want to start hammering running backs. Take your shots on your guys starting in round 3. So with that, Brandon, how do good people talk to you?
On Twitter, my handle's Brandon D. Adam 19. Just give us a follow, give Flex Network a follow. Sometimes I'll tweet out some stuff from Flex and on that handle as well. It'll be a lot of fun, and this is the dog days, so we're gonna bring as much content as we can with maybe some buy or sell targets here in the off season that we can, now that we know where these rookies have gone, we can start talking about trade strategy for rebuilding teams and winning teams. So we can start talking about that more as well. So
absolutely. So of course, Brandon, thank you so much. We can course, follow us on Twitter at the Flex Network One. But we're not just on Twitter, Brandon. You can go check out all of our videos on YouTube. You can go to TikTok, check out our content there, or on Instagram, or on Facebook. Come hit us up, say hello, tell us if you like our videos, tell us if you hate our videos, tell us if you like Brandon's shirt, tell us if you hate Brandon's shirt. We love all the feedback. So thank you for listening. Please like and subscribe to the video that you're watching or listening to. We really appreciate it, and it helps us a ton. So Clipboard Jesus, thank you for the engagement. We really do appreciate it. But with that, for Brandon, for Mike, I'm Flex Shane, and we are the Flex Network.
This is the Flex Network. This is the Flex Network. Flex on them. Flex on everybody.